So it's September. How did that happen? Serious question. How did that happen? Why is it already September? If you're new around here, you might not know, but over the last 2 years, really, I have done a lot of growing up. Both just normal trajectory and in response to trauma and past experiences. I don't even know where these years have gone because I don't know how I got to be okay again, but this is me trying to milk that for all it's worth. I don't get waves of bullet productivity often, but today has been one of those days and I am thrilled because it kind of ties in with the video topic. When you're trying to grow up, one of those things that always kills you are all the new lessons. Like all the things that you thought you learned when you were little and then you realized it was just what society wanted you to believe, but not necessarily what was right for you. I have 10 things today that have completely, and I never use this term, leveled up my life. It really wasn't until like this last month or so that I even felt comfortable with that term. So if you are also in that boat where leveling up feels so far away and unreachable, I've got 10 things that I bet you can do in your life too that have totally transformed mine. Not intentionally the most important thing, but for me, it was the most significant. Honoring your sleep cycle. Now, I've actually talked about this, I think, in that video before. You've all seen the chart with like the wolf and the dolphin, and I'm not talking about that. Those are subcategories. I'm talking about the big ones. I'm talking about morning lark and night owl. Because was it really the beginning of this year? Until this year, I had no idea that these were like actual categories, scientific categories. Night owls, ding ding, they are the ones who stay up late and are much more productive in the evening or nighttime hours. For night owls, we are rejuvenated by the moonlight. Sunlight, our skin loves the vitamin D. The sunlight does not rejuvenate night owls the way that it does morning larks. Night owls get tired throughout the day. They are much more likely to nap than morning larks are. Their productivity hours are usually in the evening or nighttime hours. Night owls make up about 24% to 50, I think it's 6% of the population. Obviously, like what did I say about it being in its infancy? We don't know. But at least a part of the population is genetically made up to be a night owl. And I am 100% part of that. Like, any chance my body gets to turn nocturnal, I am nocturnal. I have no say in the matter. I do not get to choose to be a morning lark. So once I realized that I was actually, like, legitimately genetically a night owl, not only did I stop internally bashing myself for being night owl-ish, short of creating the habit of waking up early, like, let's even say 7 a.m. because that is ungodly to me. Short of creating the habit and then just tricking my body into doing it over and over because our bodies like habits, I am not meant for mornings. So once I learned that I was a night owl, it became about figuring out that cycle in my day. And I learned 2 things. One, I need 8 hours of sleep. I actually have a blog post, I'll link down below if anyone's interested, on the miscellaneous sleep statistics of Americans. And if that 8 hours has to take place over the majority of the night, then I'm gonna need a long wind down period. And that's hard when my productivity hits around 7:30 at night. So first figuring out which of the cycles I actually genetically have and then hardlining it into my schedule, that's made a huge difference. Not only because I'm getting enough sleep, but I can schedule my day responsibly around that so that I get everything I need to get done. And I don't like find my to-do list at the end of the day and be like, crap, I forgot 3 things that I'm now feeling hyped up about finishing, even though I'm supposed to be going to bed. Hiccups. I made it through 1 point before I got the hiccups. This is a new thing I'm doing. Back at the mid-year reset point for the internet, Katie Calloway came out with a video where she quoted, I believe, the author of Atomic Habits He had tweeted something to the effect of, in 6 months, what will you wish you had started today? And I loved that concept. Other than a couple really abstract concepts, I really didn't have that many goals for this year. I kind of just wanted to get back on track after my previous year. And on the one hand, that has given me completely useless milestones because like they don't actually technically exist. Like one of the things I wanted to get good at was consistency, which if you've been hanging out my channel this year, you know I have mostly failed at. There's no milestones for that. And then on the other hand, because I kind of didn't have milestones and therefore the goals themselves felt like clouds just kind of floating around as an idea, it opened up all this space in my head for and frankly in my physical life for all these other things that like I had never actually taken seriously as a goal. For example, getting into shape again. I'm in the middle of doing an exercise challenge and I'm learning a few things, and that video will be out in a couple weeks when I finish it up. I've never gotten serious about exercise before, and so I've kind of adopted these other goals. So while I did not technically do it at the halfway mark of the year, we're gonna go ahead and do it for autumn, but I definitely want to continue the exercise challenge. And part of that is kind of nutrition, because apparently I've naturally come to it, and that seems like a really good reason to include it in my autumn goals. Then you guys might recognize this book all the way from last November's TBR, because I totally haven't finished it. I adjusted my timeline for finishing this book. Told myself I would read one anthropology book a year. And really that's just so that I stay up to date in my own field and I keep my anthropology brain sharp if I ever decide to go back to grad school. I officially started it last November, so I'm going to try to finish this before November of this year. That means I have about 2 months. I read this about every night before bed, so I do think I can do it. Obviously, we already talked about my sleep habits. I absolutely want to maintain that. Also, I'd just like to get better at homekeeping. Figure out the homes of the things that I already have. That seems like the right goal. Part of reviewing goals is also taking a look at your finances, because it's hard out here. So I have, over the last few years, tried to be really good about my finances. I have a budget now that's like all fancy, terrible at keeping up to date with it. Michelle Reed's the first person I heard say this. I'll link that video down below. Financial buckets. And what it is just a set of accounts where you put money in for a type of thing. And the buckets are there to kind of keep my money organized. And one of the best versions of those buckets that I've had is called my lump sum bucket. It's literally all my paychecks go there first. If there's anything special that one of my paychecks does, for instance, my fun job goes almost entirely into my buffer or emergency fund. And so I think it's like 80% gets dropped in there, and then the last 20 goes into lump sum, where I can divvy it up into rent, into sinking fund for going to London. My debit card, it does require me to have a hyper awareness of my money, which may or may not prove in the long run to be healthy. It certainly hasn't proven stress-free in the short term. We might have to edit that come winter. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but the buckets have been really helpful. We talked about this a little bit when I pulled out my anthropology book. I have been prioritizing reading. My day job is staring at a computer screen all day, every day, and of course YouTube is also on a screen. My eyes are so angry at me by the end of the day. I do read on my phone occasionally. This app right there, it's called NetGalley. It is an advanced reader copy website. I think this is just great. If you like reviewing the books that you read, this is for you. In terms of getting away from the screens, I was never a multiple book person before. Obviously, I'm in the middle of my anthropology book, and then I am reading Dorothy Must Die. Yes, that Dorothy. But there is honestly something magical about putting the screens away. It's like as soon as my eyes land on paper, my headache goes away. Put down my book to go to sleep, and I actually go to sleep. It's amazing. Oh gosh, okay, my eyes are already mad at me for, it's a little late for this. You ever have that inner voice in your head that's just like, what are you doing? And while I love the intuition voice, that's not the voice I'm talking about right now. We're talking about the negative Nancy voice. I am so guilty of her. When I just let my brain free from monitoring its thoughts, my disgust ain't playing. Specifically when inanimate objects just won't behave, my very first thought is, I hate you. That doesn't seem like a big thing. And the fact is, it's not, but it also is. It is only in the regard that then I have found my entire opinion about the situation surrounding said annoying thing becomes negative. I had to quit one of my old jobs because I'd accidentally convinced myself that it was really annoying and I hated being there. This was the job that I had at the tea parlor. And if you know anything about me, love that kind of ambiance stuff. But then there would be something stupid, like I kept dropping a fork that just wouldn't stay in my hand. First thing that came to mind was, I hate you. I hate you so much. Drops again. I hate you. Like, as opposed to doing it over a course of like a year, within a couple months, I went from, it's probably time to like consider leaving this job, but I still really like it and I love the people and I don't want to quit, to, oh my God, get me out. I didn't realize that's what had happened. It was only really until, I guess, last year when I was working in South Korea and I became very aware of the mindset that I had surrounding my work. The elevator catch-up version of my time as a teacher in Korea was that I was working 18-hour days and still not getting the work done. And it was kind of a toxic environment. That's the elevator answer. If you want more, you can go watch my video about why I left Korea. And that was when I really first became aware of the effect that my words were having on me. But honestly, I did not have the bandwidth to deal with it then. But it's something that has carried over, and I've noticed it over the last year or so. And specifically this year, back when I started my fun job over holidays, it was insane. I work at a bookstore. It was insane over holidays, as it should be. Too often, I found myself with those negative thoughts. I would stop myself. I'd be like, no, it's not that I hate this. I'm frazzled. It's busy. Why? So many things are dinging at me. And that became easier and easier the more that I did it. The stopping. I now notice it. The gut reaction of I hate you. But it's less often. It's lovely because now I actually get to feel my real feelings for things. I don't think I've actually said that to myself. I definitely haven't said it like intentionally because I actually really like myself. Despite everything that's happened in my life, I'm actually quite content with the way that my life has ended up, who I am as a person. I don't really have that gut instinct to say like I hate you to myself. I shouldn't say I say things to be mean. I confirm true observations. So specifically when I'm having like a rough day, I'll like see myself in the mirror, no makeup, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm fat. I'm overweight, but I'm working on it. I will say that I think that probably, even if it's not a direct line, I think it is indirectly supported by the fact that I've been trying to change the instinctual comment. Because even though it's a fact that I am overweight, it doesn't have to be true. I will spare you the anthropological nonsense about the difference between fact and truth, but factual that I am overweight. It is true that I don't like it. The fact is the fact, but I don't have to say the fact, right? Like I can know it's there. I know that I constantly breathe, but I don't have to talk about it. I just know it's there. It's just always going to be the case. But I can talk about the fact that I'm out of breath after going up the stairs and that I don't like that and that I want to change. And that's where I focus my attention, as opposed to the factual thing that because it's a fact, my brain thinks I can't change. So let's focus on the true thing, which you can change. I give myself grace for, the first thing that came to mind was my failings. For my journey. Can I just be a heathen and open it with a pencil? One of the newest things I've gotten into, and I actually talked about this in my last video, specifically in like the romanticization of your life, how sometimes you can fall into the trap of doing the thing that like you originally set up to romanticize, but you've done it so often now that it's habit and you kind of forgot to honor it. Yeah. One of the things I have been really on top of was making a space for yourself. Look at my background. Look at my background. This like is such a vibe. I didn't actually see. I'm gonna honor it now. That tapestry is actually from college. I got that just to make my walls look less bare, but that's now my reading corner. And it's got its little ambiance. Honestly, just romanticization in a picture. And then my bedroom, which is like all the vintage that I just love so much. Having an aesthetic setting or giving yourself like a little bit of a theme matters. Candles have helped. I have become quite the candle, specifically mythology candle fiend. My favorite thing in the world are the discovery boxes because you can get up to 9 miniature candles, which honest to God, they will burn all day. Creating your aesthetic for whatever it is that you're doing. Like, you don't have to be aesthetic to create your aesthetic. Sometimes you just want something a little bit different. And giving myself space to actually breathe that in and feel the vibe, and getting on YouTube and getting the ambiance tracks running, it's such a vibe. It's such a vibe. Honestly, the dog barking upstairs is such a vibe too. I guess it actually tracks, because the next one on my list was the creative outlet. And I mean, clearly, I do that. I actually used to do a bullet journal for the sole purpose of requiring myself to do something creative. That's also why I quit it, because I got too excited about the art. And I only did the art. I never actually filled in my planner. I just painted in it. Creative outlet now is actually scheduled into my week. I now sing in the church choir. Whatever it is that's creative for you, whether it's like traditional painting or it's reading. I mean, every social media account of every stay-at-home mother ever says, make sure you do something you love for yourself every single day. Creative outlet. What made me giggle earlier is that this is my planner right now. This is what has become of my creative outlet coming off on my planner. It's all color-coded. This is a chaotic example. I accept that. But fill your day. I don't necessarily mean that you have to block out your entire schedule. I understand that some people like schedule calendar blocking. I never seem to stick to it. Like, even when I try really hard and I have things that actually like happen outside of me. Like even today, somehow I'm off by about half an hour. Even if it's just a to-do list. Even if it's just the list of things that I could do. I don't have to do. But I could do when I have gaps. And sometimes truly, I put on here watch NCIS or whatever I'm watching at the moment, because I'm just like, this is something I can do, because today I don't feel like being productive. This whole video has just become favorites, just unsponsored favorites. If you don't know this planner, I've been using these for years, ever since college. This is the Day Designer planner, the yearly planner in the huge size, because I just like to leave it on my desk. Usually I use the schedule side with the actual times of day for like the non-negotiables, and then these are the things that either I have to reiterate because I wrote them really small, but mostly it's things that bring me joy. Plan your day. Give yourself a list of things that bring you joy or could support your plans for future successes and leveling up. And another new phrase that honestly shouldn't surprise me for becoming part of my repertoire after this year, but specifically getting into female and feminine energy and understanding hormone balance. That is mostly a brand new concept for me. I've started watching Jill's Gurin. She's so precious. Like, even if you're only slightly questioning what this is, you should just go hang out with her. And I have found a lot of peace in the feminine energy conversation. That is still new and ongoing, but I have so much more joy and positive hope in my life concerning everything woman side, because honestly, it's been a little beaten down. That's the most minimal change I've had in the last 2 years because it's the most recent, but it's been honestly quite profound. And I hope that this video inspires you guys to find the things that like even unintentionally level you up a little bit, because we all deserve to be our best selves and honestly live our life with a bit more ease. So if you would like to come along with me on that journey of trying to like excavate ourselves out of the chaos that is modern real life these days, definitely press that subscribe button and give it a like if you like this kind of video, because I'm still trying out some new things. Also, please, if any of these resonated with you, let me know down below. I would love to talk about it. But in the meantime, I will see you guys next Tuesday for a new video on this channel. Bye!